All right, Chapter 6, Piping Systems. Let's see, 1. Unified Facility Criteria UFC 34603, November 10th, 2007. Unified Facility Criteria Petroleum Fuel System Maintenance. Department of Defense, United States of America, approved for public release distribution. Alright, Chapter 6, Piping Systems. Piping system testing and inspection. These sections include the information for the testing of the inspection requirements of the pipeline. Piping on-base pipeline. On-base pipeline is routed exclusively for the installation property. Do not pass outside of the installation boundaries. Pipelines are not regulated with the Department of Transportation when more than one type of the petroleum fuel is in transfer. Separate pipelines that are typically provided for each of the type of the petroleum fuel. The pipelines include transfer lines between petroleum fuel truck and railroad, offloading the storage pumps and pump houses, petroleum fuel truck and rail loading systems, transfer lines between storage line areas and hydrant supplies and return lines. Inspection monthly on-base pipeline lines. A. Conduct the product petroleum fuel line pump pipeline visual inspection above ground pipeline in accordance with the 615 pipeline visual inspection. B. Conduct a line walk of the area of the petroleum fuel piping in accordance with the 616 line walk. Frequency conducting the turning transfer operation monthly at the minimum. C. Conduct annual testing as specified in Appendix G of the petroleum fuel pipeline pressure testing guideline criteria. Conduct the G. To conduct cathodic protection tested and specified in Section 921 cathodic protection protected with the petroleum fuel pipelines at least once each calendar year, but with intervals not exceeding 15 months. Conduct five-year tests as specified in Appendix G with the petroleum fuel pipeline pressure testing guidelines criteria frequency every 5 years. Conduct a petroleum fuel pipeline and American Petroleum Institute 570 inspection in accordance with 619 API 57 0 inspection frequency every 5 to 10 years depending on API class piping in accordance with the Pipe Integrity Management Plan, or PIMP. Conduct petroleum and fuel pipeline cleaning in accordance with 6.2 general pipeline cleaning as frequency is required to ensure fuel quality. 6.12 inter-terminal pipelines. Inter-terminal pipeline petroleum pipelines across outside installation property for more than 1 mile operated with the non-government personnel is regulated by the DOT. Operation made with the DOT regulated with the pipelines must comply with the Title 49 CFR 195. Inter-terminal pipelines will cross outside of the installation property for more than 1 mile and are operated with the government personnel is currently exempt from Title 49 CFR 195 requirements. Although the government operated with pipelines are not subject to the DOT regulation, certain states may regulate and enforce activity to adhere with the standard that such for Title 49 CFR 195. Internal pipeline with its supplying with the petroleum fuel and the Department of Defense for the petroleum fuel facilities may be dedicated with its serve with a single phase facility or may handle several types of grades of petroleum fuel more than one user. The pipelines may be owned and operated with and maintained with the Department of Defense of the commercial agencies. However, only those operated with the contract or non-governmental entities are potentially DOT regulated. Inter-terminal pipelines owned, operated with and maintained with the commercial agency delivering petroleum fuel for the Department of Defense. Petroleum fuel facilities may be constructed for the Department of Defense property in order to the inter-terminal pipelines to reach for the Department of Defense petroleum fuel facility located on the Department of Defense property. Responsibility for the commercial agency maintained with an internal pipeline with the owned and operated with the commercial agency usually terminates at the custody of the transfer point located with the Department of Defense installation. With the custody transfer is typically located close to the location where the commercial terminal pipeline crosses the installation and is usually democrated by a custody transfer valve. In some cases, supplier and owner operators control always allow the responsible installation activity to perform emergency maintenance on the on-base segments of commercial inter-terminal pipelines if necessary to protect against environmental damage to public property and to meet the emergency wartime mission requirements. 6121 inspection maintenance with the non-regulated, non-DOT regulated with the inter-terminal pipelines operated with the Department of Defense. Conduct the petroleum fuel pipeline volume check in accordance with the 618 with the volume check frequency monthly. Conduct a line patrol of the area with the underground petroleum fuel pipeline in accordance with the 617 line patrol frequency annually. Governmentally operated internal petroleum fuel pipelines must follow the maintenance requirements of 61111 on basis. Alright, 6122 inspection maintenance with DOT regulated with the inter-terminal pipelines. DOT regulated with the petroleum fuel pipelines must be maintained operated in accordance with the provision of the Title 49 CFR 195. Transportation with the head for liquid with the pipeline. This includes limited to the operation and maintenance plan with the integrity management plans, the operator qualification plan with which outside of the scope of the document. Above ground piping includes visual piping installed with outside and inside of the building. The piping is supported On above ground pipe supports open trenches and trenches or trenches with removal of the covers. Inspection maintenance of the above ground pipeline. Conduct with the petroleum fuel pipeline visual inspection according with the section 615 of the pipeline visual inspection. Conduct with the petroleum fuel piping annual test specified in appendix G with the petroleum fuel pipeline pressure testing guidelines criteria frequency annually. Conduct the petroleum fuel pipeline with the American Petroleum Institute 570 with an inspection in accordance with 619 API 570 inspection frequency every 5 to 10 years depending on the American Petroleum Institute class piping in accordance with the pipeline integrity management plan. Conduct the cleaning of the petroleum fuel pipe in accordance with 62 with the general pipeline clearance frequency is required to ensure fuel quality. 614, double wall piping. A double wall piping is required with the zone to save the host nation in the event that the carrier of the pipe delivers a leak with the technique of the detecting the presence of the fuel in the interstellar space for the dual wall piping. Section 613.1, general inspection of the release of the detection system for information of system use of the monitoring of the interstellar space. Inspection maintenance, double wall piping. Conduct the petroleum fuel pipeline visual inspection above ground piping in accordance with the 615 pipeline visual inspection frequency monthly. Conduct line walk in the area of the pipe petroleum fuel piping in accordance with the 616 for the line walk frequency. Conduct the transfer to operation maintenance monthly at a minimum. Conduct a annual carrier pipe specified with the appendix G with the petroleum fuel pipeline pressure testing guidelines criteria frequency annually. D. Conduct a cathodic protection specified with the 6921 cathodic protection for the protected petroleum fuel pipeline at least once each calendar year, but in the intervals not exceeding 15 months annually. Conduct the containment pipe test in appendix G with the petroleum fuel pipeline testing and pressure testing guideline criteria every 3 years. Conduct petroleum fuel pipeline API 570 in accordance with the 619 API 570 and inspection every 5 to 10 years depending on the API classified in accordance with the pipeline integrity management plan. Conduct the petroleum fuel pipeline and cleaning in accordance with 6.2 of the general pipeline cleaning frequency as required to ensure the fuel quality. On pipeline visual inspection 615, visual inspection above ground pipeline for the fuel piping for the leak of the drips emissions straight with the repair identification leaks. Some leaks can be repaired by replacing or repairing with mechanical parts. Others leaks will be requiring welding of the pipe permanent with the repair. All the proof of the local work of the management process is required before beginning welding on hot work connection with the repair. Following this line, listed for the baseline for the petroleum fuel pipeline and pipeline operability. Visually inspect the piping with the coatings assigned with the corrosion with the damage. If the schedule may need for the repairs necessary, inspect the flange gasket, inspect pipe with the ensure the pipe with the properly support without binding misalignment with the tipping, ensure isolating sliding of the material between the support with the piping is securely fastened, not missing and deteriorated, ensure the contact points between the support pipe but they're not corroded. Inspect the pipe support with the anchor bolts with the sign of the crack and corrosion missing features, repair is required. Visually inspect the expansion for the below of the crack with the tears and leaks with the misalignment expansion below bellows cannot be repaired, must be replaced if damaged. Inspect braided hoses, vibration damper, aware of the damage of the braiding, but also check with the compression tension that could indicate improper loading of the hose with the damper. Visually inspect the ground wires connecting points between the pipes of the grounding routes. Line walkers, vehicle patrol or vehicle patrollers must be detailed inspection of the area conditions above ground petroleum fuel piping and above underground pipe petroleum fuel piping. Inspection must include the general condition right away of the valve to remote the area of the condition that may indicate leak of the underground pipelines can be detected with the fuel surfacing on the ground, the fuel of the runoff, the storm damage system, fuel of the underground pits with the manhole, dead vegetation, continuous odor in the fuel with odor of fuel in a particular area, investigation, suspicious circumstances. Inspection of the regulated petroleum fuel pipelines must be in accordance with Title 49 CFR 195 subpart F with Section 195.402 procedural manual for operation made for the emergency with the requirements inspection right way on conditions and intervals not exceeding 3 weeks but less than 26 times each calendar year. Line patrol 617. The line patrol should occur with the section of the petroleum fuel pipelines not easily accessible by vehicle or foot. Line patrols are conducted by observation from aircraft. Line patrol should be flown at elevations less than 500 feet from the ground at speed 65 to 80 miles per hour. Petroleum fuel pipelines must be marked with the posted signs at 1 mile intervals at bends with the do not line, but the patrol with the pilot acts and the observer who check for the unnatural change of the vegetation color and oil licks as the lack of the stream with the evidence for the leaking petroleum fuel pipeline constructions, road sewers, and etc. Could be crossed, possibly damage the petroleum fuel pipeline overall condition of the right of way. Volume check, compare the record with the cap of the volume of the temperature for the petroleum fuel that has passed through each of the pump station. Difference for the meter readings not accounted for by the temperature correction between the two stations may indicate a leak, but also indicate that the out of calibration meters faulty temperature sensors, human error. Or 619, American Petroleum Institute 570 inspection. Periodic inspection with the American Petroleum Institute 570 certified inspector must provide the documentation remaining in the pipeline with the recommended repairs needed for the replacement intervals of inspection based on the classing of the pipe with the corrosion rate of the piping. Class 1 over water with a 5 years maximum. Class 2 natural gases over 10 years maximum. Class 3 above ground underground petroleum fuel pipeline 10 years maximum. 6 general pipeline cleaning. Petroleum fuel pipelines designed with the suitable for the pipe picking may be cleaned with using various cleaning pigs. Intervals between the cleanings are based for the site condition, the type of the petroleum fuel, with the drop of the flow rate, over the continual pressure of the dirt and rust, particularly in Nebraska. Strain of their shortened filter life may indicate the need for cleaning. 621 cleaning operations. The site of the cleaning tool will be best suited with the piping system in the operation for the most of the fuel application. For the foam pig may be sufficient. Heavier petroleum fuel applications extend for the cleaning requirements. Brushes and magnet pigs may be required with the very operational specification to be sure the pigs that will pass through all of the valves and bends. The pig accurately record the start of the quantity of the petroleum fuel pump with the trace of the pig's progress. Determine the arrival of the receiving station must be made with a deep bypass during the cleaning operation to avoid fouling. Cleaning pigs must be run at a manufacturer's suggested minimum velocity. No shutdowns while the pig is in the line. Shutdowns cause the debris to settle in the front of the pig and may cause it to become stuck. Pigging operation may produce debris in the piping system. Extensive flushing, filtering should be performed once the pig operation is complete. Flushing and filtering should be continued until the debris is removed from the piping system. 6 through piping system repairs. Temporary repairs are defined with the repairs made with the piping system to restore sufficient integrity with the continuing safe operation until the permanent repairs can be scheduled with accomplished with the military service spec of the site criteria point. Certain criteria point must be notified, but the temporary repairs must have jurisdiction on how long the temporary repairs may stay in place. The military service control point may be required inspection where the temporary repairs are in place. Permanent repairs generally require with the planing with the potential weld of the patching of the pipeline, all approved through the local work of the management process required before welding of the hot work connection for the repairs. All welding pipe must be with the meet with the requirements of unified guidelines spec with the 32, 52, 90s, 00 to 20. Welding of the petroleum oil and lubrication surface pipe include the documentation welding procedure for the welder qualification before welding repairs are conducted. Alright, pipeline failures can create with a welding safety hazard due to the fuel-soaked soil and air with a leak of the temporary pipeline. Repairs can be accomplished by clamping the steel plate with the same with the curvature of the pipe over the damaged area with the clock spring repair and using a permanent patrol with a resonant rubber with the epoxy compounds, gases, release. Once of the temporary repairs in place, areas should be cleared and of hazard. Permanent repairs may require replacement in failed sections. Alright, 631, pits and small leaks. Pitting on the pipeline's exterior surface of the cup with corrosion can lead to the pipeline failure. Pitting can be repaired in a number of ways. Surface pitting can be repaired either by a patch or pipe replacement. Some classes, in case of full encirclement of the sleeve, should be considered. All pipeline welding and repairs must meet the requirements of the Unified Guidelines Pack 33, 52, 90, 00, 20. Welding of petroleum oil, lubricant, service pipeline, including documentation, welding procedure, welding qualification, welding repairs conducted. 6.4, pipeline integrity management plan. Each petroleum fuel pipeline facility shall have the pipeline integrity management plan to stiff the guideline pipeline integrity management plan, pipeline integrity management plan, and improvement management plan of the piping system to help prevent leaks for the pipeline failures. The plans developed based on the principle of the API standard 570 with the inspection, repair, alteration, re-rating of the in-service pipeline system, federal, state, host nation, local codes, and general regulations. 6.5, flange gaskets. When installed with the gasket for the measure of the gap of the flange to ensure the consistent with the dimension of the circumference of the connection face of each of the flange must be inspected with the scratch burrs or other sign of the damage before the gasket are installed with the pipe can be expanded with the current contract during the temperature change. Gasket should be replaced during the consistent temperature conditions. 6.6, valve tagging. Valves must be identified with the system chart of the flow diaphragm and identified with the matching tag with the stencil marking on the valve. The valves must be properly labeled. Use the metal tags and stencils for the normal operating position number. Operating valve for the valve to operate with manually control with the direction flow with the U with the capital O for the operating valve with the number O1. If the system is not operation with the valve with the normally NO for the normally closed, normally open NO and the normally closed NC for the completing the valve with the designated with the O1 no. O1 no or O2 no, not O2 normal closed. Manual valve. The manually operated valves will be the performing the maintenance used openly with exposed, except during the maintenance success. These should be used with a capital M, followed by a number to M1 and M2. Automatic valves. Of these valves are capital A followed by a number with A1, A2. Typically, automatic valves will check pressure for the relief of the automatic diaphragm types. 6.2 Manual valves. Manual valves are used to isolate with a portion of the fuel system equipment for the control of the flow of the direct of the flow of the desired location. 6621 plug valve. Lubricated plug valves are not allowed not allowed in aircraft, petroleum fuel systems. Must be replaced with the lubricated plug valves. The installed with the other systems cannot be replaced. They must be inspected for the regulation for proper operation. Lubricated plug valve with lubrication, occasionally flushing to keep the working with the property of the valve. Require lubricating with the grease and fitting with the top of the valve with the force and grease fit into feed channel of the valve plug. With the plug is lubricated so that it passes free over the seats without binding. The lubricated plug valve show over there. 6221. 1. Inspection maintenance plug valves lubricated. Open and close the valve to check for the ease of the operation quarterly with the lubricate the valve operator stems and grease fitting semi-annually. Inspect the exterior corrosion tightness of the bolts, repair and retighten as required semi-annually. Plug valves not lubricated. Non-lubricated plug valves, cylindrical shaped plugs are rotated within the valve body with the U of the block. The valves where shut off the required with the various parts of the system. Plug valves can either be reduced port or full port depending on the location. Inspection maintenance of plug valves non-lubricated. Open close with the check with the valve that ease operation adjust for the replacement needed as frequency as quarterly. Inspection valve is exterior with the corrosion tightness of the bolts for paint and retighten as required semi-annually. Gate valves. A gate valve is equipped with a round with a rectangular wedge lifted out of the path of the fluid to allow the flow of the lower back of the seat and the block flow of the gate valve is not designed for throttling. They're designed to either be fully open or fully closed. Gate valves are either for the rising stem, the type of the visual see if the gate is opening and closing with the stem rises fall with the non-rising stem gate type of the hand wheel with the stakes of the stem threads are internal to the valve. The rising stem gates of the valves are preferred in order to keep the stem threads out of the fluid. Gate valves should be equipped with a stem position indicator to indicate the open and closed position. Gate of the valve is equipped with a bonnet and to ensure leak-proof closure of the valve body or equipped with the valve stem packing with a tightening mechanism. And it shows a gate valve. Alright, inspection maintenance of the gate valve, open and close with the check for the ease of operation, adjust the place of the repacking of the knee of the quarterly, lubricate the valve operator stems semi-annually, inspect valve exterior for the corrosion tightness, bolts repaint and retighten semi-annually. Ball valve. Ball valves are used with the quick off shut off valve of the block valves. The application is shown as pipe with the hydrant outlets between the pump of the header between the pump of the filter separated with a quarter turn 0 to 90 degrees, open and close with the type of the valve consisting of a solid metal valve with either reduced to the full port or the usually stainless steel with a tetrafluoro ethanol or fluoroalacetomer. Seats with the body stem and the stem seats. The valve bulb is open to the 0 to 90 degree flow through the open port. The valve is closed to the position port with a 9 degrees perpendicular flow, allowing no flow through the valve. The valves are lever operated with the gear operated depending on the size. Inspection maintenance of ball valves, open close with the valve, check the ease operation frequency, quarterly lubricated over valve change gears, quarterly adjust packing per manufacturer specification quarterly. Inspect valve exterior corrosion tightness of both repaint and retighten quarterly. Refer to 66210 manual valve gear operators, inspection maintenance of the gear operators if equipped. Are your double block and bleed valve? The double block and bleed valves have valves provide positively shut off, but they can be verified with the opening of the cavity between the two blocks. They are used with the positive isolation valve around the tanks and piping runs. To comply with the API specs for the 6D with the pipe valve, the gate plug and ball check with the UFC 346001 design petroleum fuel facility unit by criteria recommended location. Your double block and bleed can be a plug ball gate type and reduce the full port depending on the location. The type of the reduce the port with the double block and bleed valves are used around the tanks and piping system that do not require the periodic piping. The full port double block and bleed valves are required with the pipelines that require pigging. Plug type double block and bleed valves are equipped with the non-lubricated resilient double C with a trunnion mounted with the tapered lifted plugs with a capable with a two-way shut-off with a tapered plug with a usually ductile iron with a chrome nickel plating with a plug with the support of the upper and lower trunnions. Sealing slips are usually with the seal of ductile iron Veriton seal that held in place with the dovetail connection. The seal slipping removable replaceable with the bottom of the valve. The valve is mounted with the pipeline opening to the position. The valve hand wheel operative the valve with the fully closed to the fully open. First lifting plug off the seat, but then turning the plug so that the valve is in fully open position. The above, the double block and bleed valves are equipped with a non-lubricated with a tuning mount with an independent ring with a hydraulically actuated floating single position effect with a self-relieving seat rings with a bi-directional sealing ball solid with a flow through the conduit opening with a suitable with a passage pipeline pigs stem with an anti-static blow off of the proof designed with the O-ring single to provide with the emergency sealing injection fitting with the valve with a three-piece bolted body with a design flange connection equipped with a body drain plug and fitting. Alright, gate with a double block and bleed valve when applicable with the UFC 34601 design petroleum fuel facility unified facility criteria non-lubricated bolted bonnet with a using an expanded gate that does not require the pressure for the produce the proper two-way seal. The valves are intended with a full open, fully closed operation. Must not be used to throttle. The gate segments are usually ductile iron, chrome, or nickel plating. The hand wheel with the operator valve with a fully open or fully closed, moving the expanding the gate position, wedging the segments against the seats. The valves using flange connection are equipped with the body drain and bleed valve with the vent and fitting of the double block and bleed valve shows in this. Inspection maintenance with the double block and bleed valve. Refer to the operation maintenance of the manual with the disassemble of the parts, additional maintenance with the specific model with the reassemble the part of the repair of the double block and bleed valves, open close valve check for the ease of operation quarterly, lubricate overhead chain operator equipped quarterly, adjust packing per manufacturer inspection quarterly, inspect valve interior, exterior corrosion, tightness of bolts, repaint and retighten is required quarterly, operate the body cavity of the drain of the valve closed position ensures that the valve is closing properly with the frequency quarterly. Remove the bottom of the drain plug with the drain valve with annually. Refer to 66210 manual valve gear operated with the inspection maintenance with the gear operated with equipped with the double block and bleed valves equipped with the integrated the pressure thermal reliefs. Refer to 663 thermal pressure relief valve with the inspection maintenance requirement with the pressure thermal relief valves. 626 butterfly valves. UFC 34601 the design petroleum fuel facility unified facility criteria does not allow butterfly fuel to be in isolation valves construction with the new petroleum fuel systems as they are not considered with a positive shutoff valve. However, the UFC 34601 does specify that high performance water union butterfly type of the valve is a synthetic seating of material of the metal to metal seat with a comply with the API standard 607 of the fire testing quarter turn valves equipped with diamond metallic seals equipped with a self-closing mechanism fusible links must be with the two location Army and the Navy project with these locations with a torque field standing with the on and supply with a return rise to the aircraft direct fueling stations. A butterfly valve with a short face with the valve with incorporating with a trunnion mounted flat disc with a wind cove with a held tight with a synthetic seating with the material butterfly valves meet with the requirements of API standard 607 include the metal to metal with a seat with the backup to the synthetic seat with enable the valve to continue the backflow with the clove of the position synthetic seat is burned out in the fire. Butterflies are not available. Butterflies are available in flange, wafer, and lug type style configuration. Wafer configuration designed with the valve body with the fits between the mating of the flange and installed the piping the wafer style with the center inside with the flange bolt with the mating flange when installed. Lug style type that include with the red lug bolt holes on the body of the valve. The lug style can be bolted mating flange with either side. For example, the lug style butterfly can be with the end of the pipeline single with the mating of the pipeline flange other end of the opening such as the drain line. Existing butterfly valves installed with the petroleum fuel system may be installed and maintained. Inspection maintenance of butterfly valves opening and closing. Check with the ease of operation. Check with the lever to operate with the locking mechanisms in place working properly quarterly. Adjusting packet of manufacturer specifications needed. Butterfly valve leaking or non-shutting off low with the tightening of the gland flange with the tightening stem packet and remove the valve with the surface repair with the seat as necessary quarterly. Inspect valves exterior corrosion tightness of bolts repaint and retighten as required quarterly. Alright, 627 globe valve. Globe valves are used in isolation throttling purpose. Hand wheel operated with a globe valve to consist of the disc with the tighten with the V with the hand wheel against the seat. These valves are equipped with the gland sealed with the mechanism and sealed with the packing against the valve with the stem accessible to the gland sealed with the top of the valve. The valve is typically accessible to the valve bonnet. Inspection made with the globe valves. Open close with the check of the ease of operation quarterly. Adjust the pack of the manufacturer specification is quarterly. Inspect the valve exterior with the corrosion tightness of the bolt, repaint and retighten quarterly. Check valve. The check valve with the U to prevent the backflow through the pump of the branch line. The for the other location of the reverse flow must be prevented. Check valves may be with the swing disc globe with the dual plate hinge disc with a single spring lobe with the pop of the valve with the diaphragm actuated types. Check valves rise upstream in order to check the valve with the mechanism. Check valves must ensure the API specified 6D specification pipeline valves. This shows the figure 6.7 shows the check valve 62281 inspection maintenance. Check valve refer to the particular check valve of the manufacturer operation maintenance manual with additional maintenance of the parts. For the external use the test lever to make sure the valve is not sticking. If equipped with a check valve that is suspected not checking cannot be serviced in place, it must be removed with the piping system in the shop before and that frequency is quarterly. Inspect the valve of the exterior with the corrosion tightness of bolt, repaint and retighten quarterly. Line blanks and ring spacers and spectacle blinds. A line blank of the flat plate with its design with the two plate between the two flanges. Isolation divided with the design of the two plate with between the flange inside of the bolt circle with the gasket with either side with the, for example, the blank maybe with the tank connection to ice over the tank with any of the active system while the tank is being cleaned. Inspect with the line blanks and is equipped with the handle with the protrude with between the flange bolts and invisible with when installed with the handle that should be stamped with the information with the design with the blank. They are often referred to as the blind or skillets. A ring spacer in the metal ring with a gasket seating surface with the inner open hole matching energy diameter with the piping flame with the install with the ring spacer with the U allowed with the location of the blank with the beam installed with the black flow with the ring of the spacer they associate with the bank. Should have the same takeout with the dimensions. Both of them should be fit with a gap with the installed between the associated pipe planes. The ring spacer should be equipped with a handle with a protrude with between the flange bolt with the visible within installed with the handle should be stamped with the information designed with the ring spacer. The spectral blinds, including blank and the ring spacer in one unit, but those look like a repair of the round eyeglasses. One side open to the flow and then one side banked off to prevent flow. These allow the line to blind drain and spectral blind to lift allow to the provide isolation. This shows a line blank, a ring spacer, and your spectral blind. Inspection line blank and the ring spacer spectral blinds. Any exposed side of the spectral blind with the exposed side must be kept free of the corrosion quarterly. Spectral blinds should be inspected to ensure that they are installed with the correct orientation and desired flow and non-flow condition. Manual valve gear operators. Gear operators are used to open and close the large valve. The gear operators can be installed with most type of the large valve. The inspection maintenance of manual valve gear operators, the lubricate gear driven operators, and check for smooth operation quarterly. Your thermal pressure relief valves. Thermal pressure relief valves are used to relieve high pressure for the pipe and the system component with the thermal pressure relief valves are factory set with the relief of the specified pressure for the furnace for the certified type of the test paperwork. Pressure relief valves are typically sized the operating pressure and flow rate. The flow rate required with the pressure valve is dependent on the system and is used to protect the baby gas on the vessel surface the pumping operation capacity piping flow rate. The thermal relief valves are typically only sized for the operating pressure of the flow rate is not specified. The thermal relief valves are used to relieve relatively small volume of the fluid for the stack and blocked up systems to develop high pressure for the do thermal heating of the petroleum isolated with the piping the pressure vessel with the coefficient expansion of the liquid petroleum at 60 degrees of the whole volume generated with the Muscat case with a very small pressure increase with the resulting expansion equates to as much as 75 psi for every degree rise with the fuel temperature is not relieved. Therefore, absolutely essential all closed systems and pressure relief system bypass of the thermal bypass valve with the check valve relieve fuel should be directed to the tank vented into atmosphere. There are two primary purposes type of the thermal pressure relief valve: conventional and balanced type. The conventional spring loaded relief valves are effective with the back pressure for the valves. Increase the downstream backstream is applied by the seating mechanism. Increase the valve opening of the relief of the pressure setting. Balanced reliefs are designed to downstream back pressure not applied with the valve seating mechanism. Opening relief of the pressure for the setting is not impacted with the back pressure. Thermal pressure relief valves must be replaced with the valves matching the type and size, flow rate, and functional valves that they are replacing. 611 shows the thermal pressure relief valves. Alright, your inspection of thermal pressure relief valve. Thermal pressure relief valves must be inspected at the time of the leak of the inspector relief valve of the leaks of the inspecting downstream of the leaks flow indicators. If installed with the flow indicators are not installed with the possible leak, if suspect with the isolate with the depth of the relief, check over the opening pressure for the relief, verify reseating malfunction of the valve that must be repaired and replaced frequently. For ensure the manual isolation valve, then install with the upstream and downstream with the thermal pressure relief valves open with the valves and handle with the remove of the wired open and locked frequency monthly. Inspect exterior thermal and pressure relief valve for corrosion repaint. Required information plates are attached, and thermal pressure relief valves must not be painted over quarterly. Verify the thermal pressure relief valve setting with the consultant as built with the historical data annually. Thermal pressure relief valves must be validated with the proper calibration isolation valve used for the testing connection provided with the piping in conjunction with a hand pump with the portable reservoir. The operating pressure must be checked against the set pressure listing of the set information plane attached with the plate valve. The operating pressure must be adjusted with the same setting of the pressure necessary annually. Semi-automatic valves. Fire valves. Fire valves are spring-loaded within closed to the cave of the fire to prevent fuel flow. With the valves are used to incorporate with the fusible link of the holes with the valve open until the melts at 165 degrees. Allow for the valve to close. Fusible link check with the valves installed with some locations against the flow of fuel with the fuel visible link melts. Fire safety valves are sometimes used on the fusible links and spring-actuated closing mechanisms. 6411 Inspection and maintenance of fire valves. Ensure fusible link mechanisms attached properly to actuate in case of the fire that has not been bypassed, blocked, or damaged in a manner. Ensure fusible links are not filled with debris or paint which could impact the operation quarterly. Check for the closing of the mechanisms. Ensure the closely valve is properly. Fusible link butterfly valves. Fusible link butterfly valves must be fire rated for use of petroleum fuel systems. Inspection maintenance fuse level link fire butterfly valves. Fusible links are designed yielded under heated generator of nearby fire. Once the fusible link breaks, the spring operated with the actuator closed with the butterfly. Ensure fusible links mechanism is attached properly to actuate in case if the fire has not been passed, blocked, or damaged in any manner. Ensure the fusible link is not filled with debris or paint which could impact the operation quarterly. This operation spring closure unit. Ensure the spring actuator closed with the valve closes with securely against the sheath annually. For section 6626 butterfly valves additional inspection of the requirements of butterfly valves. Automatic control valves. Automatic valves meet with the requirements of the Unified Guidelines spec for the specification 3352-4314 aviation fuel control valves throughout the fuel system, typically with a diaphragm actuated globe type design. Flow through the valve can either be up or over the seat, under the seat, and out, depending on the configuration and function of the control valve. The diaphragm is actuated at hydraulic pressure for the forces of the valve disc against the seat of the closed of the valve to open the throttle with the valve to flow. The control purpose is orifice plate is installed with the valve in some instances to control the back based on the pressure differential. In case of the separate flow mechanisms installed, they actuate the valve, such as a high-level shut-off valve. Almost all the fuel control valves are installed with a fail-safe position. Main valve of the diaphragm pumps rupture of the valve will close and open in a safe operation position. Automatic valves can be installed in either a normal open or normal closed position. Due to the many types of diaphragm-operated automatic valves, and serve the best to consult with a particular valve, the schematic of the flow diagram is related to understand the parts involved to maintain the troubleshoot valve even when service is needed. The truck fill valves. Truck fill valves are TFVs are meeting the requirements of Unified Guidelines Spec 3352-4314. Aviation fuel controls used for the petroleum fuel truck loading. The truck fill valves include the dead man feature for the UV to start and stop the flow through the valve. 6/12 of the truck fill valve. Alright, 66511. Inspection of truck fill valve. The dead man control is usually the open clove of the truck fill valve. The unfilled stand of the dead man controls may be the hydraulic or electric. The dead man control fail for the function check. Move the dead man control from surface and repair. The truck fill valve maintains 35 psi gauge nozzle pressure at flow range of 50 to 600 gallons per minute. Quarterly, the truck fill valve closes rapidly with the outlet of the pressure exceeds the control setting frequency accordingly. Truck fill valve opens the dead man control lever is pressed frequency accordingly. Verify the truck fill valve closes after the dead man control is released quarterly. If equipped to verify that the operation of the solenoid connected with the ground verification system, the ground verification should energize solenoid with an acceptable ground is detected with the ground verification unit. The frequency is checked quarterly. System with the overflow of the projection of the system must be inspected with the maintained current inspection. Maintain the truck fill valves quarterly. Refer to section 4321 general system control valves, additional inspection maintenance and requirements. Motor operator 666. Motors operated provide actual actuation valve of the open close. Ensure for the 6661 inspection maintenance for the motor operator. Refer to the motor operator manufacturer operation maintenance manual for the particular repair instruction, additional maintenance and parts. Visual inspection motor operative to ensure the smooth movement during the operation of the closing operation, adjusting the necessary. They ensure that they are opening and closing fully, listing and investigating unusual noise during the operation frequency quarterly, lubricated and mechanically overrides if the frequency quarterly. Refer to section 917, electrical motors inspection maintenance requirements, electrical motors, pressure and vacuum instrumentation, pressure and vacuum gauges. Round scale type of the pressure gauge are used to directly indicate the line pressure in some of the cases of the gauge with the liquid filled with a silicone base oil. 6117. The inspection maintenance with the pressure vacuum gauges. Refer to manufacturer operation maintenance manual with a specific calibration. Check the operation with the gauge and ensure the gauge is indicating the pressure for the system monthly. And check the clean outside of the gauge glass quarterly. Inspect liquid filled gases with the leakage refill and replace as necessary semi-annually. Conduct calibration with the comparing readings of the process of the gauge with the reading of the certified master calibration gauge with which has been calibrated calibrated within the last year of the process of the gauge of the master calibration gauge. It must be connected to the same pressure source of the testing. Vary accuracy of the gauge within plus or minus 2% of full-scale calibrated gauge if required. Differential pressure gauges. Differential pressure gauges are used to measure the difference between the pressure of the two sensing points. Inspection maintenance differential pressure gauge. The reference for the manufacturer operation maintenance manual specific calibration procedure. Verify the proper operation of the differential gauge in accordance with the gauge manufacturer procedure. Monthly. Clean outside gauge glass quarterly. Conduct calibration of the check with the conveyor with the reading of the differential process of the gauge with the reading of the certified differential master calibration gauge must have been calibrated with the last year of the differential process of the gauge with the differential master calibration gauge must be connected with the same pressure source for the testing. So to verify the accuracy of the gauge within plus or minus 2% of the full scale calibrated if required annually. Alright, some of the differential pressure gauge that have small gauge protection filter located with a high pressure inlet gauge must be checked with the plate of the knee, with the hill knee, with the plate of the indicator moving sluggishly inside of the slide with the gauge slight glass with the dirty. Refer to the manufacturer operation management manual. Filter replacement required. Frequency annually for the inspection, maximum 5 years of service between filter replacements. Pressure transmitter. Pressure transmitter used to measure for the sensing point for the units of the transmitter for the awarded 20 millipascals or electrical signal display with a PLC indicated the pressure. Inspection of the pressure transmitter. Inspect the exterior of the transmitter. Ensure the accumulated oil and dust and dirt and clean if required. Quarterly check with both enclosure caps are fully threaded to ensure compressing the O-ring between the cap and the enclosure. O-ring must not be cracked, broken, or otherwise damaged. Quarterly inspect the display of the viewing glass. Cleanliness, damage of the replace for the enclosure cap. They assume assembly glass damage or missing. No accumulation of dust or dirt. Water condensate should be present, including inside the enclosure. Inspect the transmitter mounting bracket hardware for tightness. Tighten the loose hardware if necessary. Quarterly inspect the loose and bent, cracked sensing lines. Replace damaged sensing lines. Quarterly. Check for operation transmitter. Ensure the transmitter indicating the accurate pressure for the system. Bleeding sensing lines between the transmitter and the main line. Ensure that they are clean and free with the suspended of the solids and air semi-annually. Check for the wire connection for the ensure the enclosure is tight. Your pressure transmitter, pressure indicator transmitters, and pressure indicating transmitters must be calibrated mechanically, electrically tested. Equipment adjusted with the applicable the presence of the air sensing line with the pressure of the transmitter. Common cause of the failure. Conduct calibration check by comparing the pressure of transmitter and pressure indicating transmitter with the readings of the certified master calibration gauge, which has been calibrated within the last year of the pressure transmitter or the pressure indicating transmitter. The master calibration gauge must be connected to the same pressure source of the testing for accuracy of the pressure transmitter, pressure indicating transmitter gauge, but within 2 plus or minus 2% of the full scale calibration, according with manufacturing operation maintenance manual, if required annually. Or your differential pressure transmitter. Differential pressure transmitter, you measure the difference between two sensing points of the units of 4 to 20 millipascals. Electrical signal of the display of the PLC. Indicate with the pressure in the differential pressure. The same signal can be used to determine the flow rate with the measure for the function with the correlate with the pressure differential to flow. Inspection and maintenance of the differential pressure transmitter. Inspect the exterior of the transmitter enclosure for the accumulated oil and dust, the dirt and clean is required. Quarterly check with the both enclosure cap with the fully threaded with the open to the enclosure compressing O-ring. Between the cap and the enclosure, the O-ring must not be cracked with a broken, otherwise damaged. Quarterly inspect the display with the view glassing with cleanliness, damage of the replate for the enclosure with the cap of the assembly with the gas of the damage missing. No accumulation of dust or dirt. Water condensation should be present inside of the enclosure. Frequency quarterly. Inspect the transmitter mounting bracket with the hardware with the tight inside with the loose of the hardware necessary for quarterly with the inspect the loose of the bent crack the sensing line with the replay for the damaged sensing line with the quarterly strict operation with the transmitter. Each ensure with the transmitter with the indicating accurate with the differential pressure measurement. Quarterly bleeding sensing line with the between the transmitter with the main lines. Ensure with the cleaning of the free suspended solid and air. Check with the wire connection inside of the enclosure to tighten manually. Your differential pressure transmitter must be calibrated mechanically, electrically with the test equipment adjusted if applicable the presence of the air or inline sensing lines. Differential pressure transmitter common code with the conduct calibration check with the comparable reading for the differential pressure reading for the certified differential master calibration change, which has been calibrated with the last year of the differential pressure gauge, and the differential master calibration gauge must be connected with the same pressure source for the testing. Verify the accuracy of the differential pressure transmitter within 2 plus or minus 2% of the full scale calibrated in accordance with the manufacturer operation maintenance manual if required frequency annually. Your flexible ball joints. Flexible ball joints used to prevent flexible connections between the used to provide flexible connections between petroleum fuel tanks and pipelines. These joints must be used with the other areas flexibility is required for the flexible ball joint. Alright, 6811, inspection maintenance flexible ball joints. Flexible ball joints can be used to source to locate leaks, especially with the pipe and subject to the stress of when they make the tank with the coupling and adapt the program of periodic lubrication inspection ensure the longer joint life. The fully lubricated joint will not allow dirt with the enter, or if the seals leak, despite the lubrication seals replacement, the entire joint must replace. Lubricate the ball joints to inspect the wear of the stress over the monthly. Alright, 6.9, thermometer. Thermometers used to measure the temperature sensing point. A dial thermometer. Dial thermometers indicate the temperature of the face of the dial. Inspection maintenance of the dial thermometers. Thermometers that typically by metal or volatile fluid at the base must be periodically inspected. Inspect the thermometer correct face of the proper operational condition. Place if damaged quarterly. Check accuracy of the thermometer against calibrated master thermometers. Ensure prior process calibrated master thermometers are reading the same as the heat source. Vary accuracy thermometer plus or minus 2% of full scale calibrated process thermometer is required frequency annually. Alright, piping and equipment coating system include the information related with the periodic inspection external coating of the system, typically with the Department of Defense piping system, above ground piping and equipment coatings, 3 coating system, primary to medium to top coat of the primary protective the coating system, above ground piping the primary intermediate coat should be used if the 2-component epoxy polyamide system, the top coat should be ultraviolet resistant polyurethane. Refer to Unified Guidelines Spec 335243-13, aviation fuel pumping or 09971327 exterior coating steel structures for current above ground exterior piping coating system. Does not paint stainless steel, aluminum, or galvanized surfaces. Inspection and maintenance of above ground equipment coatings. Coatings above ground piping, the pivot equipment, the pipe support filter separated miscellaneous valves should match the color of the finish. Reality reflectivity is this inconsistent with the installation architectural standards. Maintenance personnel must be determined existing of the external coating type of the prior to the repairs. Ensure proper adhesion recommendation, proper surrounding and as its repair. Squaring up the masking tape. Ensure air to repair, clean and dry. All the strip of the corrosion and damaged coating must be removed per coating of the manufacturer requirements. In addition, braze intermediate area surrounding repair to feather edge of the allow the proper adhesion of the repair coating layers. Remove all the dust particles by brush and vacuum cleaning of the surface of the appropriate solvent to repair area to coating system. Apply coating system in accordance with the manufacturer instruction. Protect the coatings. Unified Guidelines Spec 09971327. Exterior coating steel structures, including coating information. Application instructions should be followed. Visually inspect the coatings with a sign of deterioration, corrosion, damage, repair damage, or deteriorated coatings frequently quarterly. Alright, your underground piping, coatings, and repairs. 3 coating type that has recently been used with the underground pipe to 2 layer extruded polyethanol with a coating with an over soft adhesive AWA C21 5 fusion bonded epoxy coatings AWA C221-3 federal specification LC530C with Unified Guidelines Spec 335280 liquid fuel pipeline coating system. Unified Guidelines Spec 3352-4315 aviation fuel pipeline current for the underground exterior coating requirements. Maintenance personnel must determine the existing coating type of the pipe of the repair to ensure the proper adhesion and longevity of the repairs. Polyethanol and fusion bonded epoxy federal specifications LC530C are common, but other types of the coatings may be encountered. Some older pipes may be coated with coal tar asbestos wrap. Easier for the coatings to identify the proper procedure used to handle the hazard level associated with identified coating with the contact with the military service specs of the SME questions of the regarding the coating type of the appropriate repair with the methods. In all cases, surfaces must be clean and dry, grease free, dust free, with the free of the rust, damage coating of the prepared, and according to the repair method chosen with the manufacturer polish proceed with the Unified Guidelines Spec liquid fuel pipeline coating system includes additional coating information applicable. The instructions should be followed. Your 2-layer extruded polyethanol coating repairs. The following repairs methods may be used for the 2-layer extruded polyethanol coat: coal tar enamel and type 2 enamel, type 3 outer wrap, coal tar enamel tape, cold applied tape, petroleum wax type coating, and heat shrinking sleeve. Military service spec SME must be determined the best repair method for the type of the repair required. Weld beads must be covered with one wrap type tape prior to the spiral wrapping. The fitting must be wrapped spirally, beginning with the one complete wrap within 3 inches back of the edge of the coating with the pipelines less than 4 inches in diameter. 1 layer half must be used for the pipe is 4 inches larger in diameter. 2 layers half lap must be used with the second layer wrapped outside of the hand of the first. Alright, full fusion bonding epoxy repairs. Fusion bonding epoxy repairs must be repaired with a fusion bonding epoxy coating per National Association NACE recommended practice 0402 to match existing liquid epoxy coating system. Maintenance personnel must coordinate with the military service spec SME to determine the best repair method for the type of the repair required. R6102, 3, Federal Specification LC530C for coating repairs. Coatings are making for the environment at Federal Specification LC530C have been used in the underground fuel pipe. The coating is no longer covered in the Unified Guideline specification, but is continued to be used on case basis. Repair of these coatings must be in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. 610-3, internal carbon steel pipe coating. Epoxy coating system meets the requirements of mill preference 48556, two-component epoxy system AWA C213 fusion bonded epoxy system, sometimes used with the interior carbon steel piping used to transport fuel petroleum lines. The coatings are applied with the piping factory with no typical repair field. The inside edge of each pipe segment is left uncoated 1 to 1/2 inches from each end, preventing coating damage during welding operation. These inside areas of the welds are left uncoated after the welding is completed. R611, underground fuel pits. Fuel pits are such as low pressure point drains, high point vent pits, lateral control valve pits, isolation valve pits, hydrant pits are included in many fuel pumps. Alright, your isolation valve pit. Isolation valve pits are made with a fiberglass concrete pit with the rolled and with the hinge cover to design and according with the Department of Defense standard for the design AW782428 pressurized hydrant fueling system. Isolation systems valves installed with a non-traffic area with the underground petroleum fuel pipings. Valve pits and valve operators are typically designed with the valves that can be operated with a person with confined and spice operation. Inspection maintenance isolation valve pits. Isolation valve pits should be inspected and ensure that the pits are dry and clean with all components with the pit or clean and good working order. Maintain seal with the boots of all appropriate obtain necessary confined space for entry permits before entry. Inspect the pits for the sign of fuel. Water fuel should be removed from the pit as soon as possible. The source of the water infiltration fuel leak determined frequently, monthly or more often based on local conditions. Check with the crack of the concrete. Check with the piping, the penetration. See with the pit wall with the bottom with it. Ensure the mechanical seal of the boot seal in good working condition are allowing no seep of the water into the pit. Make note of the crack in the concrete. Schedule maintenance if necessary. Check for the fuel with the leak of all flange, other piping connections. Check for rusted, deteriorated ladders, grading platforms that make the entry unsafe. Check pit lids and proper sealing. Check the rolling pits cover to ease the operation of assigning deterioration, damage, or corrosion. Make sure required locks are in place. Locking mechanisms are not broken monthly or made often into the basis on local condition. Your hydrant fuel pits. Hydrant fuel pits are located close to the aircraft parking position. Hydrant fuel pits contain the fuel block valves, pressure gauge, hydrant control valves. The pits are equipped with counterweighted lids. A sump out connection is provided with the sump collected water of the fuel from the pit. The grating installed with the pit with the providing access for the valve, the removal of all closed inspection of the pit piping, penetration seals, and generated maintenance. Inspection maintenance hydrant fuel pits. Hydrant fuel pumps must be inspected to ensure that they are dry and clean with all the fuel components of the pit and clean with a good working order. Obtain necessary confined space entry permits before they inspect to the fuel or water. Fuel water found in the pit must be sumped out as soon as possible, monthly, often as needed as location, local conditions. Check pipe penetration in the pit walls bottom to ensure the mechanical bolt seal with a good working condition, allowing no water seepage into the pits monthly. Check with the fuel leaks over the flange and other piping connections monthly to ensure that the leaking of the good working order or prevent water entry into the pits. Monthly are often based on local conditions. Inspect hydrant fuel pit bonding cables corrosion can ensure electrical continuity between bonded equipment monthly. High point vents. Are your high point vents? High point vents are located throughout the fueling system. High point vents are used to vent the air from the fuel lines during startup and operation. Inspection maintenance high point vent pits. Inspection of the high point vent pits to ensure the dry and free water of the debris of the pit with the piping components are leak free with a good working with the condition. Inspect the pit from the fuel water. Fuel water found with the pit must be sumped out as soon as possible. Monthly check with the preparation throughout the pit walls bottom to ensure the mechanical boot seal with a good working condition are allowing no water seepage in the pits. And monthly check with the pit seals and the deterioration place and everything. Ensure the high pit valve with the quick disconnect and decouplings pit lids are lockable and locking mechanisms are in good working order monthly. Inspect a high point pit bonding cable to corrosion and ensure the electrical continuity between bonded equipment. For instance, monthly low drain pits. Low drain pits are located throughout the fueling system. Low pit drains are used to do some fuel piping of the water fuels by set-up and the draining of the pipeline. Inspection maintenance low pit drain pits. Inspect low pit drain pits to ensure that they are dry free of the other debris throughout all the piping connection leak of the freedom of the good working conditions. Inspect the pit for the fuel water. The fuel water found in the pit must be sumped out as soon as possible monthly. Check with the pit of the pipe preparation penetrations through the pit wall at the bottom to ensure the mechanical seal of the boots over the good working condition are allowing no water seepage into the pit. Check the pit lids for the deterioration replacement of the necessary monthly. Ensure the local point vent valves, quick disconnecting coupling pit lids are blockable and locking mechanisms are in good working order monthly. Inspect low pit drain pit with the bonding to the cable corrosion. Ensure the electrical continuity between the grounded equipment is monthly. Your lateral control pits. Lateral control pits are buried fiberglass control concrete pits for rolling with a hinge cover the valve. The operators install lateral control pits typically designed so that the valves can be operated with the personnel without confined space entry. Lateral control pits may be installed with the isolation valve of the hydrant system automatic control valves. Inspection maintenance for the lateral control pits. Lateral control pits ensure that they are dry and free of the water, other debris, and all pitting of the piping components of the leak of the free with a good working condition. Inspect with the pit for fuel and water. Fuel and water found in the pit must be sumped out as soon as possible monthly. Check the pipe of the preparation through the pit wall at the bottom to ensure the mechanical seals, boot seals are in good working condition and are allowing no water seepage into the pit monthly. Check the pit and seal the deterioration. Check and replace necessary. Check monthly. Free check for fuel leaks and flange and other piping connections monthly. Ensure pipe pitting lids are lockable and locking mechanisms are in good working order monthly. Inspect lateral control pit with bonding cables to the corrosion. Ensure the electrical continuity between bonded equipment is monthly. A minor 612 minor piping system. Low point drains. Water and other fuel components to remove the filtration tend to end up at the low points of the fuel system. Low point drains are provided with low point of the fuel system allow the water, the contaminants to be removed. Inspection maintenance for low point drain. Visual inspection of low point drains ensure they quickly disconnect dust caps and place on the valves that are locked and closed weekly. Operate low point drain when the system is not under operating pressure, absence of the sufficient line pressure closed with the low point drain. So in the pressurized system, when adequate pressure is available to continue the drain until the piping the fuel sample is clear, bright, and no visible water. Frequency monthly as required. Local conditions vary. Low point drains are closely in maintenance. 612 2 high point valves. High point valves are provided with the fuel system provided means for the vented trapped air. Inspection maintenance. High point vents and fuel leaks observed that should be repaired and as soon as possible. Ensure the quick disconnect dust gaps are replaced with the high point vent valves are locked in quarterly. Site flow indicators are used to visually confirm the flow through the system of the device. Wheels installed with the fluid stream behind the transparent glass or plastic film. Flow is indicated with the wheel turns. 612.3.1 inspection maintenance site flow indicators. Verify there are no leaks around the pipe connection fittings or glass seal, but also check the glass for the indication of crack. Frequency daily or each use electrical release detection monitoring. 613.1 general inspection release detection detecting systems. Piping release detection systems are quickly designed to quickly detect fuel leaks from concealed underground portion of the fueling system. Licensed or certified technicians required with the troubleshoot with the inspect leak release sensor of the communication of operation inspection with the suspect for the operating military service spec service control point installation environmental officer for the personnel should be contacted for the support. Refer to service prevention control countermeasure plan for direction with who to contact. Host nation, state, local agencies must have additional design inspection manual requirements that may be more stringent than the Department of Defense federal guidelines. Facility operative maintenance must be familiar with the site spill prevention control countermeasure plan in order to comply with the inspection record keeping. 6311 rope sensor system. Rope sensor systems all along the length of the underground piping, either within the interistic double widening pipe of the common with the direct buried uncommon. The rope sensor can be installed with the surface piston sumps as well. System uses the discrete sensor built along with the length of the rope. The rope sensor should signal with the monitoring panel indicate the location of the detected liquid within a few feet. The rope sensors are sensitive to the presence of the petroleum-based product, and care should be taken with handling rope sensor. Licensed certified technician required to troubleshoot and inspect rope sensors for operation. Your inspection maintenance of rope detector systems ensure the monitoring panel associated with the rope sensor is powered and on and no alarms are present daily. Test rope sensor system ensure that it is functional annually. Point sensor dry point sensors installed with the lowest point of the space between the fueling of the system and the secondary barrier. Dry point sensors send a signal with the monitoring panel to indicate liquid detection. Dry point sensors must include the float switches, electrical resistors, and licensed or certified technician is required to troubleshoot with the inspected dry sensor for the correct operation. Double wall piping for these sensors placed in low points of the piping. Continuous monitoring of the present fuel within the annual annals of the double wall piping. Inspection of the maintenance of the point sensor dry. Ensure the monitoring panel associated with the point sensor of the power down, no alarms present daily. Ensure monitoring space is clear with the free of the debris monthly, and test sensor ensure functionally annually. Visual release detection monitoring, visual monitoring release detection method utilizing inspection port, visual inspection in the presence of a liquid, inspection maintenance, visual monitoring, visual inspection of the port signs of leak that remove the debris and foreign objects, obstruction of the view weekly. Chapter 7, Ground Vehicle Fuel Facilities.